back. Welcome in. Let me wipe this off. This seems to be a little blurry. Let's see what's going on here. As I do have to move this just a little bit because I have to reassess my screen. So, just it's slightly different, nothing major. So, welcome. If you're watching this after, this is just a little way for me to be a little more personable with my audience. It takes a second for this to push around. Earlier took just a couple of seconds. So if you're watching this, if you're one of the early ones in, make sure to hit that like or the like button, please, so that I can try to get this to push around the algorithm. We'll see how many people decide to come back. I know I just had a live open, so it's going to be kind of contradict what I was trying to do before. So it's quite different. Thank you so much, Alpha, for the first like. I really, really appreciate that. The more likes, the more people that come in, the smoother this will be. But like the title says, let's talk about XRP a little bit deeper than the storylines, a little bit deeper than maybe with just the charts and things like that. CJ2 Pilot, welcome back. Alpha, thank you so much for being in here. I really appreciate that. It's a completely different format, so I do enjoy doing things a little bit differently. Can be a little bit more personal. We can have a nice conversation back and forth. But I do need your help in hitting that like button. Sharing this would be the most important thing. Letting others know that we're doing this. And then, if people show up, they show up. And we can have a more active discussion. If not, we'll end it quick. I guess that's the best way to put it. If there's people in here conversing with us, we'll talk. If there's not, and I have nothing to talk about, So right now, we were talking with XRP. For anybody who's only watching it like this, heads up to look for the next video should help. Yes, indeed. But I understand this isn't exactly the best way to do it because we've already been on for an hour, in the horizontal view. But, sometimes it's just nice to sit back and talk and be able to, kind of talk about this in a different way. So when it comes to just like with XRP, like not looking at the chart now and just knowing when it gets, if it does not hold on to that $2.17 mark, that's gonna allow us for a bigger correction here. There's no doubt about it. That's our hope here, that we could hold $2.17. Do I think that, or let me finish this thought. So $2.17, but that's just because of the fib extension. So if it breaks through here, it's going to be a deeper correction. YouTube's going to make you shut it down and open it back up, especially if you're in the other live. But yeah, so it's going to be a tricky thing for everybody. We're going to have to, definitely get used to this. Like all my stuff is needs to be moved a little bit from how I had it earlier, just because of how you can see, so things are definitely a little bit different. But I definitely think that we need to put a lot of stock into the fact that, when you take it a step back, besides just what you're hearing within the news, and, you heard XRP mentioned on the news today or yesterday on CNBC, and, it's making its rounds around a little bit. So, from a standpoint of, do we have enough volatility working in our favor? Do we have enough volume? I don't know. We're not getting as much volume coming in as I would like to prove a whole full-blown pattern reversal. But we're definitely getting volume in the sense that we can bring the market up a little bit. I believe what we did so far is we've held on, pretty good to start the flip of the clock. It's nothing extraordinary or nothing crazy, but at least we're holding that $2.17. That's our first signal out, and it would be very volatile to the top side if this holds. Now, no means would we say short or long the market, short the market and leverage. I don't prescribe by that theory. I don't like it. So, this is something a little bit different. But XRP definitely has the opportunity here to make a run up, and 217 is what you should be looking for. For silver, we're either looking for a breakout and re-breaking of this structural resistance, or, because that's a lot of questions, or a pullback into some lower gap areas. There was some news about banks using XRP, actually. What was the new bank? Let me see real quick. So XRP bank. We do need more banks using it, but this is all, it's all work in progress right now. This is all a very big work in progress. There was some news that was coming. It's crap, I can't remember the bank. Maybe somebody can enlighten me. We were talking about it earlier, but there was some news that was actually coming out about the banks and things like that today. A particular bank, that is. OnePay with Walmart. Hey, good evening, Theo from California. I appreciate you tuning in. I do have to, let me move this a little bit closer. I appreciate you tuning in, Theo. Everybody who's coming, I appreciate you tuning in. I know it's a little different like this because I'm usually on the other way, but we did an hour, and I just wanted to talk for a minute. Who else did I miss? All messages. Elmer Fudd, welcome back in. CJ2 Pilot, appreciate you being in Tom's Arm for 2 years. Mr. and Mrs. Stop for 3 months plus with Dan Marginal. Welcome into all of you. I appreciate it. Really, really appreciate everybody who tuned in. Mr. Stop sending a trophy cake. Thank you so much for that. That was nice to see the trophy standing on there. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much for the gift, Mr. Stott. And that was a hefty one. That was a hefty gift. Gave 500 rubies, which I think that's like $12 or something. Holy smokes. I love seeing that trophy. It danced on my screen. Does it dance on everybody else's screen? That's pretty cool. I love it. Thank you. It it did. It danced on my screen. That's the one reason I like vertical, I must say. I like it in vertical for that feature, I have to say. It danced on the screen. How cool is that? But yeah, this is the vertical setup, and I'm not doing it in I still do it in the old setup, but earlier I decided I wanted to come on after when I could. Now if my son comes out here when he's not at school, well, that's a different story. I'll have to shut this off. But I really enjoy this too. It's more personable, and I know I got to get this right with all of this, but it's a work in progress. It's definitely a work in progress. What else do we want to talk about though? Outside of just like the charts and stuff, like just with everything that's transpiring right now, we need a shift from sound risk offs. We need a lot of people, that aren't in risk off. We want people to start to lose the faith there for a minute. And that's why we could use some some downward volatility with risk off. And we do great. When gold and silver goes up, we really do well. And I'm not talking from a miner perspective. I'm just talking about from precious metals. Because the miners, if we catch it in the right time like we have, that's great. But even more than just the miners with the volatility, that gold and silver is a big deal with the precious metal when it goes up and down. So, what did some people say? Let me get these comments back out. They said, so seeing a pattern of lower low, 12 days followed, new moon, XRP 12 days later, January 18th, as government shutdown vote. Yeah, I know. I do get that. Are they down? It's caught up in the back. They're ghosts. They're ghosts from Halloween. We kept them on the window because we have like this bay window, and it's unusual for where we live because our houses don't usually have a window like that. What was that just went across the screen? Sent a marshmallow. That was a marshmallow on the screen. Thank you so much for the marshmallow, Mark. I really appreciate that. 60 rubies at that. Is that what they call them? Rubies on here. Awesome. It actually is it's a breath of fresh air to see it in a different setting. I know we're not going to get as many viewers, but earlier, believe it or not, that setup like we did like this earlier got more views than my live. The other way around, believe it or not. Got like 1,400 views. I think people wanted to see it in a different way. I love the holiday mashup. I know, I do too. I'm a big fan of it. Big fan of it. If I could, I would leave this stuff up all the time. But Julie's gonna take our Christmas tree down. She's about to take it away from me, so that'll probably be gone. That'll probably be gone this week, unfortunately. Unfortunately for some people don't like Christmas out at this time, but you know, I don't. I would, if I could, I would have Christmas, the feel of Christmas all year round. If I'm being honest, I like Christmas. Man and his dog, welcome. And I have seen Mrs. Stout, like you said, different names in here during this, which is awesome. I love it. Hi, Tom. Quick question. So both XLM and XCC have followed a similar path to XRP over the last year. I know you recommend holding both, but which would... let's see. Which would you recommend holding first, XLM or XDC? Hey, look at that, a sun. Look at that. A sun holding a basket. What do they consider that? Set the sun in a balloon. Oh, that makes sense. Thank you so much for that, Joseph Euler. That looks like it was like 151 or something. 150 or 151 rubies. Wow. Very generous audience we have here. You know, it is kind of cool seeing all those things on the screen, I must say. I like seeing that stuff. I like seeing the balloons and stuff. But what would I rather have? Okay, so the best way I can put this is, are you trying to compare this versus the appreciation to XRP? Are you trying to see this for the appreciation versus the rest of the market? I guess would be the best way for me to ask this question. If you're looking for it for appreciation versus XRP, it's tough. I like to get into the XDC versus XRP pairings, XLM versus XRP pairing when we start to look at this. So you got to start to decipher it just a little bit. Just a little bit. So when I'm looking at this against XRP, XDC in the immediate short term, from a weekly standpoint, looks a little overbought, so it's working its way down a little bit. So it looks, and when I'm looking at XLM versus XRP, it looks like it's a little undervalued as it's oversold in the weekly. So, and that's just stochastic, so you can only read so much into it. But it definitely gives you the feel that there might be a little added value in at least the short term for the price appreciation and or the price being a little bit closer to XRP on a drop than XDC would be. But it seems to me to be leaning in the direction that there's probably more opportunity in the immediate short term with XLM versus XDC based on, you know, that little metric. But there's no right or wrong answer. If you're looking for immediate appreciation versus XRP, because that's the only way I can look at it. I own all three of them for transparency, so I'm not telling you anything that I wouldn't do myself. And I'm not a financial advisor, so take this with a grain of salt, obviously. Anybody who ever asks me questions, you always got to take this with a grain of salt. This stupid thing is like falling down. But it's, I would probably say in this immediate moment, maybe XLM just because of how oversold it is versus XRP. But, you know, I don't think you can go wrong either regard. Should talk some about the classes. Why I actually I sent in the subcategory on YouTube. It just has to be approved. It hasn't been yet. But there's going to be an added category so that, you know, people can, you know, start to see it. But yeah, the classes, it starts from the very beginning of time. Not the time of me being on YouTube, but the beginning of time when it comes to technicals, when it comes to market understanding. But hold on, I wanted to see if it approved it or not yet, since somebody asked. I don't think it has yet. It's going to take a little bit. Yeah. My perk's in review right now, so usually takes about 24 hours or so, and then you get some kind of email. So I have to wait out that the period right now. But so what's going to happen is the way I set it up is there's a lot of interest. A lot of people want to learn from the ground up. So this is going to start from the very basics. So like when you come in there, we're not going to have a chart open. We're going to start by learning how to open up a chart together, learn how to do these exchange, you know, just the settings. But It starts from the very basics. So it's going to be like the first time, you know, and you're not going to be like that, but it's going to be like the first time, you know, you're into it. So what's going to end up happening is when YouTube puts this out, there's going to be a category on my YouTube channel that sign up to the army, but it's going to be a different category, and it's going to say $49.99 a month, and it's going to say it's for the live classes, and it's going to be 2 classes a week, 8 classes a month that I'm going to do in real time, and then you can go back and watch it if you're at work, and you can do all of this. So instead of putting it on Zoom and having people have to go through a different wallet and people have to go through doing sign up through like, you know, some different third-party processor, I figured everybody's already on YouTube. Now all the information will be here, and then it'll only be available for the ones in that category. So the other people will never even know about it. And then obviously you get the Telegram and everything too, so you can be a part of the community. So yeah, that's gonna be a pretty cool thing, and it's gonna start from the basic of basics, and it might take us 1, 2, 5, 10, 30 sessions to get through each topic of discussion, and there's gonna be a whole itinerary in there. And the cool thing about YouTube is during that section for who's ever signed up, whenever I want to put something out, I can post it to that section, and everybody who's in there is gonna be able to see it from the class, and you're gonna be able to approach it from there. You know, it's gonna be a really cool thing. I think it's gonna transform the way we connect. And it's just going to be a higher learning. We're going to be able to do more stuff in there. We won't have it out to the general public, obviously. You know, you're still censored by YouTube because you're on their platform like with anything else. But I'm pretty excited about it. A lot of people keep asking about it. That's why I'm doing it. I wasn't going to do it initially. I was against it. But a lot of people wanted the above and beyond experience. So we're going to do the above and beyond experience, that's for sure. And it always helps to go back to the basics. A lot of times we jump ahead and we forget what the basics are. I did that myself long ago. I must admit. You know, I'm an idiot. For all intents and purposes, I'm a dope. Julie knows it. She said I'm her idiot. But you know, there's been a lot of mistakes made, and that's why I know what I'm doing. I made a lot of mistakes. That's why I don't let my emotions get involved. Like, as much as I love silver and gold right now, I'm just watching it. I'm watching for an opportunity. As much as I want to buy more silver or more oil or buy oil stocks, I'm just watching it because I can feel a little shift coming in the short term that is going to lead, if it plays out, it's going to lead for a huge spike in silver and gold, and oil is going to go parabolic in a way that we haven't seen in quite some time. And I'm convinced of that. We need this to play out in our favor, though. You know, and sometimes when it plays out in your favor, this is going to be my great, trying to figure this out because it slides down. But yeah, somebody Elmer said buy food. I've been doing that for some time, the dried out stuff. The good thing about my son is we've got a lot of stuff for him too that would go, but it's going to be an issue for us because he's got a G-tube and stuff, so if something like this ever played out, you know, it's not going to be easy for some of us, that's for sure. We pray for Mighty Marcus. As I forgot to say, I had a bearded Viking. I just remembered that he sent a message in the live. In Tom's on for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Mighty Marcus is fighting the good fight right now. And we continue to pray for him. I can't believe I forgot to say hi to him. Can't believe I forgot to say hi. It just crossed my mind that I forgot to say hi. Anthony, welcome in. See how this keeps falling down? It slides down. That's going over the camera, so I'm gonna have to figure out where can I put this because it's different. Oh, just hit the volume now. Look at that. But it's over the volume. It's different than the live. I'm gonna have to figure this out next time. But hey, nobody said it was gonna be easy to switch the way we're doing this, did we? You know, at least for once a day. Kind of funny though that keeps sliding down. Well, I have pants on. At least, see, I even looked down to make sure. But wouldn't it be funny if I was doing the live and I didn't have pants on the other way and then I forgot and then I just switched it over to this format? Be a pretty dicey situation in here. Yeah, Julie says this isn't OnlyFans. At least not yet. Tom, thoughts on Ripple? Should buy or start a stocks? I don't know. Debatable. It's debatable. I mean, should they buy or start it? I mean, with the money they have, they could probably acquire a nice one, a nice sex. I know we're not talking about OnlyFans with Ripple. I don't know. I don't know if I want to put all that time into them developing one. They got a lot of stuff to focus on right now. Like becoming their own treasury with what the G Treasury news was today. That's the news of the day. The G Treasury. That was the news of the day, by the way. Which Ripple owns the G Treasury now, so. So let's see. G Treasury. Because they acquired Solvexia. It's a financial automation platform to enhance its treasury, finance, and compliance offerings with automated reconciliation and regulatory reporting, building on its own 2025 acquisition by Ripple for $1 billion to integrate digital assets infrastructure with additional treasury management. So the purpose was to provide end-to-end reconciliation, automation, reducing reliance on manual spreadsheet-based processes for finance teams. And for anybody wondering, that's the acquisition of Solvexia by G Treasury, which is now a Ripple company because Ripple acquired them. So this is actually big news. Let's see, in compliance offerings, so the purpose to provide end-to-end reconciliation, automation, reducing reliance on manual spreadsheet-based processes for finance teams. That offers unified treasury, finance, and compliance operations, improving accuracy, reducing risk, and meeting regulatory demands. It integrates the G Treasury's treasury management and digital asset infrastructure with Solvexia's automation for improved governance, controls, and reporting. And we know G Treasury was a Ripple acquisition in 2025 for $1 billion. It was a big deal. And they do have a little bit of a vision with all of these acquisitions. They're not just doing them for no reason. But it's their broader strategy to merge traditional corporate finance with digital asset capabilities, creating a real-time financial command center for enterprise. So there's a lot of thought that went into this by Ripple. It's not just something they're doing for no reason. So, but we'll see how all this plays out. This is all getting very exciting indeed. It's all getting very exciting indeed. Julie. Oh, Julie went back. I don't know. I don't know if my son actually, because he got his feeding just now, so I'm gonna have to go hang out. But yeah, at the very least, you know, this gives us a little bit of extra time together, 20-something minutes. Why would they do that? What does it mean in English? What I just read? They're trying to basically not only become their own bank, but think of it how a bank gives you like, they're trying to be their own treasury. The simple layman's terms is they're trying to become a new unified treasury. And they want instant settlement and they don't want all the nonsense. So they're buying all of like the areas where you'd have a regulatory problem. So basically we're trying to do banking charters for all of this. Like how Furby trades. And welcome in, Nick. Said Trump wants a banking charter for his stablecoin. That's basically what's going on. Ripple wants to become their own. They want to become their own superpower, which was the main reason we got behind XRP in the first place. Hopefully it all comes to fruition, that's for sure. I'm very hopeful that it does. I'm very hopeful that everything that we think we know actually plays out in the way we think it's going to. Because there is no guarantee in this world. There's really no guarantee in this world, so we're just trying to follow the clues, friends. Think about trying to comply across that. That's exactly. They're trying to make sure any regulatory demand that could come about. I would say probably more so than not, Mr. Stott. Does it have anything to do with payroll? Probably. With the advanced computing that they can use, I think it's going to help with payroll big time. Automate it. I believe you're onto something there. Honestly, that's a great question. I believe it does. I believe it does. Oh, I like this. More questions. You're welcome, Mr. Stott. More questions, please. Isn't XLM into the payroll thing? They are. XLM is very much, in a lot of ways, basically, it's apples that, basically, it's not apples to oranges with Ripple and XRP. It's apples to apples, I always think. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face. Mike Tyson, 100%. 100%. That's one of the truest things he ever said, besides the truest thing he ever said, which hit me the most. He said, when you're favored by God, you're also favored by the devil. And I remember he said that, and it struck me to the core, and I'll never forget when. And it's so true. Because once something, oh man, something big. XRP and ZBEC together on payroll. You never know. Speculation is that there is a tie in there with ZBEC. And it very well could be for the payroll. Now that everybody's saying that. Honestly. Mike hitting us with the truth. What did Mike say? Oh, Mike Tyson. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He definitely hit us with the truth. Very misunderstood individual, if I may say so. Maybe I can't say so. Maybe it's not in my lane, but you know. But yeah, I think that's pretty good. I might keep it here, leave it at that, because my son is up. It's getting later. It's 8:47, so you know, got to kind of do the dad thing here. I'm very appreciative though that some of you stuck by. You came back after the hour-long live and said, "Hey, let's kind of do this in a cool setting here, and let's just hang out together." I'm very appreciative of the ones who came in here. I'm gonna say, for the ones who sent the gems or the rubies in here, they call them 811 rubies. That's impressive. Thank you all for that. Damn. So, but I'm appreciative that we can do some other things. Vertical. I mean, it's not bad. It's a different way to look at things. It's definitely a different way to look at things. XRP is the only one that could whoop Tyson. If they give him enough money, Tyson will take a fall to anybody, apparently, nowadays. Honestly. What do we got in the futures right now? Dow futures up 8 points, 3.25, and not much. Not much movement there, actually, at all. Not much movement. The VIX is up. Shanghai's down a little bit. The Nikkei is down 359. The HSI, oh boy, that's down 277. Ooh, interesting. Should be an interesting night overnight, indeed. If we can find some volatility in the crypto market, I'd be very happy right now. XRP is doing exactly what it needed to do to start the flip of the clock. Had an overextension down, past that $2.17 in an ABC correction. We want to talk about all that stuff, and then the Fibonacci down at $2.17 is perfect. That should extend it out to $2.57 if it played perfectly. We have to, if it went back up, we'd have to look at it for more of a make it or break it kind of thing at 240 once we get back up there. If in fact we can reverse some real hard here. But right now, all good news right now. All good news on this. So far, the reversal. So far, it's good news. Hey, Hood Class, welcome in. Joseph Euler, thank you for the high five, friend. I seen a high five go across the screen. I was like, who the hell sent that? Thank you so much for that, Joseph. Mr. Euler, I really appreciate that. Everybody who sent a Ruby, anybody who sent a message this evening, I really appreciate it. You guys make it really fun. That's why it's hard to leave. I like to, especially when it's starting to move up a little bit on us at 218.76. Remember when we were doing the live before, it dropped down to 214 something. His first interview out of, oh, absolutely. He definitely made a ton of money by losing. Any idiot who was watching that should have known. The only thing I feel stupid about is, you know, well, no, because I don't bet anymore, so I couldn't, well, back then I was betting, so I could have, but yeah, I stopped. That's my thing in 2026. I'm not, you know, at least for a foreseeable future, I don't want to do any kind of sports betting at all. So, hey, look at that. Look at that on the... See, I love that. It's not a deer. That's a deer on my screen. Wow. What is the deer worth? The deer is something. 800 rubies. Holy smokes. 800 rubies. Thank you so much for that. That is some serious generosity. Is that what they call these things? Rubies? I think it is. Wow. Thank you so much for that. That is crazy generous. That was crazy generous. Trying to think of what else that is actually very important right now. What else would there be? I remember seeing something earlier today. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not missing something. I feel like I seen something about XRP today. Frankie Fresh, welcome in. Good evening to you. And Janine, if you're watching, welcome in. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I really do. Jewels? Oh, they're jewels. Is that what it says, jewels? So I need to say jewels. Yeah, jewels. Okay, not gems. Jewels. So just like jewelry. Gotcha. Good job. Good job. But thank you, Frankie, Fresh, and Janine. I appreciate both of you two. The unbelievable support from you guys. Was there any news in crypto that I just am not remembering? Crypto news? Let's see. I feel like I'm missing something. That's what was breaking earlier about a possible executive order. So there was the Trump to sign a huge crypto executive order today. Supposedly he was supposed to, but I don't know if anything ever came about that. That's what I was trying to... That was one of the things I seen earlier. So there was a source that says they've seized 600,000 Venezuelan bitcoins and now added them to the U.S. Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. If that's the truth, that would be of some significance. I don't know how true this is. Can anybody verify or deny that? That was something that I had on here from earlier. But that could be a bullish thing. Because, could end up finding ourselves with a push up. And then we had the bipartisan for the crypto talks, and it hit a hurdle earlier today. So there was a bipartisan negotiation over major cryptocurrency bill in the Senate Agricultural Committee, and it hit a new snag for anybody who's interested in some of these frameworks, which I don't like regulation, but we might as well understand. Attorney General Chair, blah, 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 blah. John Bosman, Republican Arkansas, is finalizing a new crypto market structure draft that he is planning to mark up on January 15th. According to two people with knowledge of the matter who were granted anonymity to discuss closed-door talks, there was a twist. The new draft does not currently have buy-in from Democrats on the panel. Blah, 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 but what is this? So the bill that deal with the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, an agency the panel has jurisdiction over. The Senate Banking Committee oversees the other half of the bill dealing with the Securities and Exchange Commission. The substance of the new draft remains unclear, but it could pave the way for a partisan markup next week. The bill the committee will mark up next week includes several provisions championed by Democrats. Change made into the discussion. Draft also includes input from stakeholders. Yada, 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 move on and so forth. They're working in good faith for bipartisan. Nobody cares. I don't really care about how much they jerk each other off backstage. Venezuela is rumored to hold a 60 billion Bitcoin strategic reserve. That's something that obviously was talked about. And now everybody knows about Trump's crypto venture with World Liberty applying for the bank charter. The one interesting thing, did you guys hear about MicroStrategy? Speaking of which, I'm glad I remember this. Delisted? Getting delisted? That's some big news. They surged after the MSCI says the 50% criterion regarding crypto allocation will remain unchanged when it next considers the exclusion. So, MicroStrategies, the MSTR, finally breathed a sigh of relief after MSCI announced it will not exclude digital asset treasuries DATs from the indices. So they actually aren't, it's not going to be as bad as they think, I don't think. Yeah, the gifts and emotes are cool. I really like them. When people send it, it gives a new vibe. I really like that. But you can only do it on the vertical. You can't do it on horizontal, but it definitely gives a different vibe. I do like it. You ready for me to get done, Julie? Is he shaking his head still? I was trying to get him to run out here. You don't even think he's going to run out here to tell me to stop? You hear how loud I've been talking? Yeah, I know. Apparently they send jewels on YouTube. They're called jewels, Julie. Just like you. Yeah, I think that's everything. I mean, I could talk forever. I really can. But I think I basically, unless there's something from Ripple that I didn't see. But we've talked a lot about the Ripple stuff today. Somebody said I'm keeping an eye on, what did you say? I'm keeping an eye. Let's see. Said I'm keeping an eye on them stuffing the Clarity Act into the government spending bill when they reopen after the pending shutdown. And you know what's funny? Doesn't it feel like there's no doubt we're probably going to shut down? Except this time it's going to be a little bit different. Just a little bit different. Everything's not, it always rhymes, but it's never quite the same. I think we pretty much hit everything here. I'm pretty happy. Pretty happy today with what's going on. We know key fact confirms XRP is non-security, price dropped 7%. I don't care about the non-security crap, but 4.4 million was in XRP saw 4.4 million in liquidations on Binance over the last 48 hours, mainly affecting short positions with 3.09 million lost as the price surged. And then we came back down into this little correction, the ABC, which is what it seems like. Unless we lose 217 clearly, and it falls out, that 217 seems to be a line in the sand right now. We can bounce off of this, and we can legitimately bounce out pretty big into the mid $2. But yeah, there's a lot of propagation of war and all this stuff. There really is. But yeah, so be blessed, everybody. I'm going to go with the family. We're going to go do our thing, and we'll be back tomorrow. I appreciate all of you. Be blessed.